Whispers in the walls. The house had always been quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that presses down on you, settling into your bones until you start hearing things. At least that's what Rachel told herself. The old house on Ashbury Lane had been abandoned for nearly a decade before she and her husband Mark moved in. They were excited about the idea of a fresh start, away from the busy city, and the house, though run down, seemed full of potential. But now, after only a few weeks, Rachel wasn't so sure. Strange noises came from the walls at night, low creaks, like someone dragging something heavy across the floorboards, scratching sounds, faint but persistent, as if something or someone was trying to escape. She had laughed it off at first, dismissing it as the house settling. Old houses creaked, but when the sounds continued night after night, she began to wonder if she was hearing things. Mark, ever the skeptic, dismissed her concerns. He was a man of logic, and to him, anything out of the ordinary could always be explained away. It's just old wood, he'd say, or perhaps rats in the walls. But Rachel wasn't so sure. The unease settled in her chest, thick and heavy. Every time she passed a mirror, she caught a flicker of movement in the corner of her eye, a shadow that wasn't quite hers, or worse, her own reflection would seem off. The way her eyes would dart to the side before she even turned her head, the way her lips would twitch in a way she couldn't control. It was on the third week when it happened. Rachel woke up in the dead of night, drenched in sweat, her heart hammering in her chest. The room was pitch black, save for the faint glow of moonlight creeping through the cracks in the curtains. She turned over, trying to calm her racing thoughts, when she heard it. The scratching. It was closer this time, almost as if it was just beneath her bed. Slowly, cautiously, she slid her feet onto the cold hardwood floor. The sound stopped abruptly, and the silence that followed was suffocating. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up, and a chill ran through her. She forced herself to move, standing up and taking slow, deliberate steps toward the door. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the knob, her pulse loud in her ears. But before she could open it, the scratching came again, louder this time, and then a voice, low and guttural but unmistakably human, whispered from the dark corner of the room. "Rachel." She froze, her breath caught in her throat. The voice was soft, like someone trying not to be heard, but there was a sense of desperation to it. It came again, this time more urgent. "Rachel, help me." Her mind raced, a million thoughts crashing together. Was it Mark? Had he been trying to get her attention in his sleep, his voice distorted by dreams? But no, Mark was lying next to her, snoring softly, completely unaware. She could hear him, his steady breaths, the rise and fall of his chest. The voice came again, this time louder, as though it were right behind her. "Help me, please." Rachel spun around, her heart leaping into her throat. The room was empty. Her breath caught in her chest as she scanned the shadows, her eyes wide with terror. There was nothing there, nothing but the oppressive stillness of the room. But she wasn't imagining it. She had heard it, felt it like cold fingers brushing against her spine. Suddenly, the scratching sound began anew, now moving along the walls, just behind the plaster. It was louder than before, frantic, as if something was trapped inside, trying to escape. Rachel's body tensed. She took a step back, her mind screaming at her to run, but her feet wouldn't move. The voice came again, this time twisted and distorted, as if the thing, whatever it was trying to speak through the very walls. Help me. Her breath caught. It sounded like it sounded like her voice. Rachel's pulse quickened. She stumbled back to the bed, her mind in chaos, trying to understand what was happening. Her reflection, her own voice, coming from the walls. It couldn't be real. She was losing her mind. Maybe she was still asleep, trapped in some nightmare she couldn't wake up from. But the cold, biting air that now seemed to surround her, the scraping sound, was too real. With a surge of adrenaline, Rachel grabbed the lamp from the nightstand and swung it towards the wall, her hands shaking. The light illuminated the surface for a split second, just enough for her to see something. A faint crack in the plaster, as though the wall itself was coming apart. Then the scratching stopped. Silence. The air grew colder, and the lights flickered above her, casting long, grotesque shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. Rachel stood frozen, gripping the lamp as if it could protect her from whatever was lurking in the walls. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, a knock sounded from the other side of the wall. Knock, knock, knock. Rachel's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't alone.